Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Humbo here, bringing you a brand new video on my channel, a topic we are yet to discuss, and it's been highly requested, why I actually switched to keyboard and mouse originally, going through just what was happening at that time and where my mindset was to help me get to where I am now. So I'm just going to be going over kind of my origin story with keyboard and mouse. Just make sure you guys go on to drop a like and sub if you do enjoy this video. Road to 40,000 subs. I also live stream every morning on my Twitch. Link will be in description. But yeah, guys, without further ado, let's get into my keyboard and mouse transition story, man. Let's go. All right, guys, so to start this story out, we actually have to go back to season 5 of Fortnite when I was on Xbox. I was a console bot. I was not good. I was on the controller. I was on the sticks, man. And basically, I used to play in what were called Xbox Stream Snipe Me Customs. So streamers would count down 3, 2, 1 in their chat. You would queue in with them, and then you would, like, you know, just try to win, and the streamer would spectate the game out. It was like the earliest form of competitive Fortnite, right? I'm sure some of you guys do remember that, who were OG. Shout out to y'all. So, did that. World Cup rolls around. It's like season 10 or so. I forget exactly when World Cup was. I know it was in April of 2019 was the actual like Booga day where Booga won and everything. But guys, remember there was like 2 months of qualifiers leading up to that. So I really wanted to play in those qualifiers, but I was on console and the game was so laggy. I mean, if you guys remember, World Cup was super stacked games. You could literally like not play if you were on console. It was very tough. There was no platform for World Cup. So I was going against PC players and it was really hard. I couldn't do it. So I took the money that I had saved up from streaming off of my console, you know, young hustler. Shout out to young Humbo. Love you, bro. Thanks for starting this journey. And I got a PC. I got an NZXT pre-built PC, plugged in my controller, played controller on PC for the remainder of World Cup. I think there was like 4 or 5 of those qual weeks left, and I just missed the money like twice. I was pretty heartbroken. I made no earnings, just got a PC, and it got me thinking, man. Me and my friends were like, oh my gosh, bro, like keyboard and mouse is alpha. We watched Booga win. We were freaking hype, you know. And at that point, this is before there was like exponential on controller or linear. There was none of that stuff. So controller was still a little outdated. Like controllers made big strides since then, you know, but this was when just Aiden like played in that World Cup and got kind of domed. Like it was pretty difficult. It was like kind of the real takeover of KBM is being the #1 alpha input for the game. And so that's when I decided to pick up my first keyboard and mouse, or gaming keyboard and mouse anyway, which was, I forget what it was called. It was something from Walmart, very cheap. It was a mechanical keyboard. I think it was like $30 from Walmart, and a very cheap, like a $10 mouse from Walmart. It was called like a Red Spider or something. I forget what it was. So I come home from Walmart. I picked up some cheaper stuff because, like I recommend you guys, you're not sure if you're actually gonna like it, if you're actually gonna use it, so you don't want to spend a bunch of money up front. But yeah, cop the stuff, come home, plug it in. I can't even do a 90. I am down horrific, bro. I rage quit. Like, I literally can't do it. I switch back to controller. I'm like, no chance, right? And a week or 2 goes by, and I'm like, I want to try it again, right? So I started playing keyboard and mouse just in creative when I'm bored sometimes, kind of just half sending it. Like, I'm still playing controller mainly, but I'm working in a little bit of keyboard and mouse time here and there until it gets me too frustrated. And this is the worst thing you can do, in my opinion. Like, being really half and half on it, you're not going to see the rate of improvement that you want, which is what I've talked to you guys about before and put in my tip videos now, because this is where I learned it from, going through this stuff. This is like a month or 2 after World Cup, guys. And basically, I was going into Zone Wars, I was going into this stuff, and I was panicking in pubs. I literally couldn't shoot, couldn't use my inventory because I was only practicing in creative cranking sometimes. So I had no real game skill at all. And July rolls around, which is about 2 months after World Cup, right? So World Cup's closed, April's gone by, and now we're into July. And this is when I decide to make the full switch to keyboard and mouse. I commit to myself. I'm like, okay, I'm going to become absolutely nasty. I don't care what anyone says. I'm really just gonna full send keyboard and mouse. And this is just where the uphill battle begins, guys. Right when you switch to keyboard and mouse fully, you're gonna start getting bulldozed by all of your friends. I did take a lot of hate. Like, not many people believed in me. Nobody would play with me in like scrims and stuff. Again, I wasn't good, right? But you really have to believe in yourself. And here's what I did to make myself believe in myself. So if somebody tells you that the odds of you achieving something is 1 in 100,000, the odds of you becoming one of the best keyboard and mouse mechanical players is so low. That's not true. All it comes down to is your work ethic, the time you put in, what you're willing to sacrifice. And I realized this like pretty early on, that if I was willing to commit time every single day, I was willing to skip watching Netflix or just doing other things, right? Or going out and seeing friends. And yes, That is extreme, right? But anything that you want, if you want an extreme result, you have to be willing to sacrifice an extreme amount. Basically what I'm saying is your ambition has to match what you're doing, your actual work ethic. If you want to be one of the best, you have to have one of the biggest sacrifices. And if you're okay with being average and you want to have balance, that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. The only problem that comes into play is when you're complaining that you're not one of the best, or you're complaining like, what am I doing wrong? I don't get it. I'm unlucky. You're saying these sort of things and you're not putting in the work. That's literally the only variable. So I recognize this. And my thesis is that within 6 months, you can become really, really good at one aspect of the game on keyboard and mouse, kind of. So what I mean by this is, if you scrimmed super, super hard for 6 months, you'd probably get pretty good at scrimming. If you got really, really good at box fights, you'd be really, really good at box fights. If you just played arena, you'd probably get good at that. If you just built and did creative, you'd be good at that, right? So you can only pick one for the first 6 months to hit it mastery level, right? Or your aim. It depends on what you guys want. So at first I was doing scrims and it was really difficult because learning to fight and actually have the pressure on when you're first switching is super, super hard. But I put in a lot of time doing scrims, trying to get good at competitive. It wasn't working out for me. And then I really started to fall in love with creative a couple months in. I started to be pretty good naturally at it. I had some of my older creative videos going up, some of my first videos I was posting on Twitter, still hadn't started my YouTube. And then a couple, like 4 or 5 months into keyboard and mouse, I started my YouTube channel, right? And I started posting creative videos. All of this stuff was building and editing. That's what I had focused on. My aim was pretty lackluster. I wasn't great and competitive, but I had fallen in love with creative, editing, building, those sort of videos in that community. So I grinded it out, man, and I got to a really high level of Fortnite, you know, within building and editing. And along the way, I placed in Winter Royale last year. I made $400. I placed twice in the money for $200 a piece. And I was super, super proud of myself, man. I think I was about 6 or 7 months on keyboard and mouse at the time. That's still really new in my estimation. And I was super, super happy about that. I got the money. It was really, really nice experience. And then I just got back into the grind, back into the building grind. Zone wars. I was practicing different things, starting to do 1v1 wagers. So I was mixing it in, right? Trying to find my groove. And my channel really just started to pop off with my keyboard and mouse gameplay like the last couple months here. Like, things can take really, really long time. Like, you can move in the same place for really long, for like a year, and then out of nowhere, man, you can accomplish so much so fast. It's like a very, very explosive thing, just this community. And even with skill level, getting everything to click on keyboard and mouse is very difficult, right? And I never knew that this journey was going to take me where it did. I just knew that I could control my work ethic, right? And that's all you can control at the end of the day. All right, guys, so now that I kind of got my backstory out of the way and you guys have an idea of how I came to make this switch and how all this went down, I'm going to give my actual concrete reasons right now as to why I switched to keyboard and mouse originally. I'm just going to look back on it, and if you guys have similar thoughts and similar things in your own mind, then maybe you want to switch to keyboard and mouse too. Just hear this out, and if this is something that you think you identify with, it might be a good idea for you to switch as well and make the full send. All right, guys, so the first reason was simply the challenge of it. Really, really excited me. It was super frustrating when I was trying it out and experimenting, but I really knew that the sky's the limit for it. Like, I was just really, really, really loving that feeling. It was just like restarting the entire game. Like, I got so much passion from that. It was so much fun. It was also, like I said, extremely difficult and frustrating, but it is a journey. And if you're a patient person like I am, I'm willing to put the time in over months and months and months and see that progression and that rewarding feeling. Just like if you were doing a weight loss or fitness journey, it's super, super rewarding in that way. The second reason why I decided to make my switch to keyboard and mouse over a year ago is that I know that I want to be an esports player. I want to compete over different games over the next 5-10 years, whatever that might be. And that, for the most part, requires playing on keyboard and mouse. There's certain games that you can play on controller for sure. Don't get me wrong. COD being a great example of that, game that I used to play. But for the most part, once you switch to PC, there is such a plethora of games that you can play if you're on keyboard and mouse. It just gives you way more options to move freely into different games in their competitive spaces. So I just really did prepare for this. Like, I wanted to start learning how to play on keyboard and mouse, as Fortnite is my first time ever doing that. And I took it as an opportunity. I took it as a learning curve, and it's really, really been a great experience. And the last and final reason that pushed me over the edge and made me make this switch all that time ago, and I'm so happy that I did, is simply that I felt like I was capped at controller. I'm not saying everybody is, but for me personally, I felt like like I was getting around the skill level, the mechanical level that I could reach on controller. It just wasn't working for me. I wasn't using claw, which some people used to have really good mechanics. I wasn't in that situation, and I wanted more out of my gameplay. I wanted to push myself farther. I wanted to reach a higher standard. Like, and I was watching all these pros in World Cup and got super inspired and just decided to follow all the way through on it. And I am so happy that I did. It was totally worth it, man. I really have no regrets with that whole switch. All right, guys, and that's going to do it for this video. I hope you got some sort of value out of this or just enjoyed the story, man. And I hope you have fun if you were switching to keyboard and mouse yourself. But yeah, guys, make sure you drop a sub with the noties on it if you do want to support me further and you want to support my channel. Road to 40,000 subs. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day.